We have $1 billion surplus right now, and we should be using some of those funds to help Arizona families who are struggling to make ends meet.
And welcome back to Square Off. That was Democratic Secretary of State and candidate for governor Katie Hobbs announcing her plan to help working families with expanded child tax credits and other tax breaks. It came a few days after an Atlantic magazine profile that reflected the persistent anxiety among Democratic insiders that she's running an unfocused campaign for governor, not ready for the battle to come in the fall. We're back with Roy Herrera, a Democratic election law attorney at the firm Herrera Arellano, and Marcus Dell'Artino, a Republican consultant for strategic communications and public relations. Roy, I'll start with you. Katie Hobbs met the Atlantic magazine reporter at Topgolf in Glendale for the interview to whack some golf balls. Turns out Katie Hobbs is a pretty good golfer. But she didn't lay out any specifics. The nut graph here was the past few years have demonstrated that voters often don't respond well to candidates who lack some combination of star power and a robust policy agenda. Roy, is that a problem for Katie Hobbs?
Well, I mean, I think what the article points out when it comes to where you call it anxiety or angst on the Democrats' side is a general idea or issue, which is that to run for governor, you have to demonstrate, a plan and have expertise in the areas, the public policy areas that Arizonans care about. And a lot of it isn't just about elections. It's about economic development and jobs and transportation policy and water policy, et cetera. And you have to have plans and you have to know those issues in order to get elected governor. And that's the case across the board for all candidates. And so for her to be successful, she's going to have to do things like what you played in that clip, which is coming out with a plan to address economic issues for low-income Arizonans, for example, and go on a list, along the line of all the issues that Arizonans care about and show that she can talk about it. I don't know if she did that at Topgolf. I think that's a bit of an unusual place to actually have a substantive conversation with a reporter. But as you said, we all learned that she's good at golf. So maybe that's a sign of things to come for some of the other things she's going to roll out.
You could say that's relatable for a lot of folks, good at golf, but I thought that was unusual. Marcus, a lot of the concerns have to do with Katie Hobbs going up against Kari Lake. I'm going to push back on that. Shouldn't Democrats be more concerned about going up perhaps against Matt Salmon or Karen Taylor Robson?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what Democrats really should be concerned about more than any of who the candidate is turnout. And there's going to be only one person to essentially blame on that. And that's not going to be Katie Hobbs. It's going to be the president of the United States. Doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, the top of the ticket's going to drive it. And so that's their number one concern. And I can tell you it's a concern. It should be a concern for Katie Hobbs. It should be a concern for Mark Kelly. I think that U.S. Senate race can be a lot tighter than people think. And no matter how much money is spent, I think that the Republicans have a real shot at picking up that U.S. Senate seat.
Roy, you want to respond on the Kelly campaign's behalf or just let that go?
Well, I won't respond on the campaign's behalf, certainly, but I will say generally what Marcus points to is accurate. I mean, we have a midterm election. We have a President Biden, Democratic president. If his approval rating doesn't improve, right now it's not great, right? I mean, we all know that. It's going to make it harder for Democratic candidates to win, certainly. But I do think, the quality of the candidates, well, at least with Senator Kelly, is going to put him in a position, especially also with the resources he'll have, along with the weak Republican primary candidates that we have, to put him in a great position to win, and then so on down the line, right? If we have good candidates, there's good turnout, I think Democrats have a good shot in what may be a tough year generally.
Let's talk about the voters, and with that, new numbers out this past week show that Other is now the largest party in the state's largest county here in Maricopa County. 888,000 independent voters, largely. Registered Republicans aren't far behind. Democrats are 100,000 registered voters behind both Other and Republican. Marcus, what message should that send candidates?
Republicans really need to take a message from here. And frankly, look at the suburbs and how they're voting. They do split tickets. We've got a donut around Maricopa County, but increasingly the Democrat message nor the Republican message are appealing to new voters. And so both of them have to retool to get them back in.
Roy, bad news for Dems?
Well, I don't think it's surprising, right? I mean, I've always viewed Arizona. I mean, we've always known that the independent third of the state ultimately decides elections here, and I think that will continue to be the case going forward. The fact that it's now the largest registered party, quote unquote, I don't think is a surprising development. And I think again, when we've seen successful statewide candidates, they have won those voters over, usually talking about economic issues and how they're going to make their everyday lives better, how they're going to make their pocketbooks better. And it is this set of voters in the suburbs of Maricopa County that I think ultimately, and particularly in this election, this midterm election, are going to decide who wins.
All right, got to end it there. Roy Herrera and Marcus Dell'Artino, thank you so much for joining us.